Իդեալ համակարգը 27 տարեկան է։ Հունիսի 13-ից մինչև հուլիսի 27-ը կատարեք շահավետ գնումներ իդեալ համակարգի խանութ սրահներից եւ յուրաքանչյուր 100,000 դրամ գնման դիմաց իդեալ համակարգից ստացեք խաղաղության կտրոն 27 ուղեգրերից մեկը շահելու հնարավորությամբ։ Մանրամասները idealsystem.am Իդեալ համակարգ 27 տարի դեպի կատարելություն։
Your Excellency, my dear friend, it's with great pleasure that I welcome you and your delegation to Cyprus. Historical, cultural ties, common experiences, and a shared set of values set the framework for our discussions. We once again reaffirmed the strong bilateral relation between our two countries and our peoples. Relations that have been nurtured and tested under very difficult conditions and which conditions are unfortunately continuing. Today we had very productive discussion on a number of issues. In brief, on bilateral level, the opening of Cypriot and Armenian diplomatic missions is imminent, and this is going to be facilitating further deepening of the cooperation and the ties, especially as regards economic and investment, and of course it would be expanding the people-to-people contacts that are already in place. In this context, I have to mention, of course, the very vibrant Armenian community in Cyprus, which is a very valuable part and element of the Cypriot society. They act as a catalyst for keeping our historic links alive and our common heritage strong, and of course for boosting our political convergence. Secondly, I updated the Minister on recent developments as regards the Cypriot problem. It suffices to say that the Republic of Cyprus is extremely grateful for the principal position that Armenia has been consistently adopting as regards the Cyprus problem, a position that is founded on international law and on the UN Security Council framework. Of course, we reaffirmed the Republic's position that Armenia is a friendly country, an allied country that is being tested, and you have our full and unconditional support. It's a position, again, of principle. It's a position founded on the values of the international community. Respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity are not options, they are obligations for everyone and in all conditions and circumstances. Third, Cyprus strongly promotes and supports the deepening of the relations between Armenia and the European Union. We welcome two recent developments, the assistance under the EPF in support of Armenia, and secondly, the opening of the visa liberalization dialogue between the European Union and Armenia. These are very significant steps, and you can be certain that you will have our full support moving forward on those and on other files that are opening up in Brussels. Finally, we discussed the normalization process between Armenia and Azerbaijan. We welcome the position that the Armenian government has adopted in relation to how there can be progress ahead. And I want to state a very simple principle. Diplomatic discussion, dialogue is the only way of resolving any kind of disputes. At the same time, coercive tactics cannot be dictating how that dialogue is being conducted. The sovereignty, territorial integrity, as I already mentioned, must be respected, and this is not something that could be negotiated. Full solidarity with the people of Armenia, and you have been trying to support at the humanitarian level in all ways possible and in full cooperation and coordination. My dear friend, let me once again welcome you to Cyprus. It's been a real pleasure to have you here, and I look forward to the rest of our discussions for this day. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, my dear friend, I'm very glad to be back to Nicosia in this capacity, in my capacity of Foreign Affairs Minister. I warmly recall my previous visits, but today's visit is of particular importance for me because this is the first time the Foreign Minister for Armenia is honored to participate in the Ambassadors' Conference and address the distinguished heads of diplomatic missions of Cyprus. Dear Konstantinos, thank you for this invitation, and I should say that I enjoyed the open and comprehensive discussion we had earlier today in that format. Coming to our bilateral discussions today, I would like to stress the following 4 points. First, as I mentioned in the beginning, we have solidified our partnership to a point where the presence of resident diplomatic missions in our capitals is simply a must. So I'm pleased to join you in announcing that Armenia and Cyprus will reciprocally open embassies in the capitals of both countries in coming months. Needless to say that it will further contribute to strengthening our partnership and also people-to-people contacts. Secondly, where and how to strengthen our partnership. I'm glad to see that the trade turnover between the two countries has been growing during last year, and I believe it is exactly the direction we can and we should work jointly to outline new deliverables and ensure continuation of the positive dynamics. My third point refers to Armenia's partnership with the European Union. In fact, this is my first visit to a member state of the European Union after the milestone decisions were taken by the EU Council, namely on launching the visa liberalization dialogue with Armenia and providing assistance to our country under European Peace Facility. And I think it is also symbolic, as we are aware of the very supportive approach of Cyprus in reaching these historic milestones. Thus, I take this opportunity to thank you, dear Minister, but also other EU and member state colleagues for the support extended to my country in this path, including through the support of our democratic reforms, which, of course, we are determined to continue. The two decisions taken by the EU Council will further bring literally Armenia's citizens closer to the EU and vice versa, but also contribute to building Armenia's resilience and hence regional stability. In parallel, we still have other new items on the agenda while we work on the prospects for the new enhanced Armenia-EU partnership agenda. And finally, the fourth point, we have discussed today also the regional developments and overall situation around our countries. It is obvious that our partnership, friendship, and cooperation has become even stronger due to the need to overcome common challenges. We have been closely cooperating, and we will do so as long as there are pending issues, including of humanitarian nature, following the conflict and difficulties our people have been facing. We appreciate the assistance Cyprus has provided to Armenian people forcibly displaced from Nagorno-Karabakh. Dear colleagues, as we have proven with our actions, Armenia is committed to peace and stability. In this regard, we have always expressed solidarity with the Republic of Cyprus, supporting its efforts to find a just and lasting solution to the Cyprus problem in line with relevant UN Security Council resolutions and international law. Our commitment is also reflected in the vision of establishing durable peace in our immediate neighborhood, the Southern Caucasus. Thus, dear attendees, I briefed my counterpart on the most recent discussions, including on the importance of signing the peace treaty with Azerbaijan, stipulating the mutual recognition of territorial integrity based on the 1991 Alma-Ata Declaration, as well as importance of ensuring the continuity of delimitation process on the basis of the same declaration and thus the 1991 borderline. I think this position is both clear and consistent, but besides that, it has been also developed further by our proposals of creating mechanisms regarding border incidents as well as arms control, to which we have not yet received answers and which still remain open. I believe we should use the current historic momentum to work towards closing the page of enmity and preparing a better future for economic development and prosperity of the entire region, which is an important crossroads. Dear friend, concluding my remark, I once again thank you for the invitation and today's comprehensive discussions and the warmest reception of my delegation. Thank you very much.
Now, Their Excellencies, the ministers can accept up to 2 questions from the members of the press. So if we have questions, please introduce yourselves and the media you represent.
Marius Adamov from Antena TV. Mr. Minister, French and Belgium are ready to evacuate their citizens from Lebanon. Cyprus is ready to operate a STIA plan.
The STIA plan has been activated weeks ago. It's in full operation, in full preparation mode. We had all the relevant interdepartmental meetings, and we have set out how the plan is to be applied in the event that this is necessary. So as we have done in the recent few months in relation to Sudan, in relation to post-October 7th in Israel, we have been preparing for this event. If it's happening, we all hope that we are not going to be needed, but in the event that this is not the case, Cyprus will continue to act as a bridge to safety and to facilitate the evacuation, the safe evacuation of citizens from any war zone in our part of the world.
From the Associated Press, for the Armenian minister, I'm curious, you mentioned these developments with the European Union. I was curious whether what other ways Armenia has to reach out to the EU and strengthen its relations with the bloc. And for the Cypriot minister, I wanted to ask, is there any update on the assistance being shipped to Gaza, what's happening there, and what are the next steps, if you could just outline it, please.
Well, probably I can start. Thank you for your interest and your question. As I said, the opening of the launching of the dialogue, visa liberalization dialogue, and providing support to Armenia under European Peace Facility are only 2 instances of a bigger cooperation, bigger picture. We're currently in the middle of a process of significantly deepening our relations with the European Union. We have a new partnership agenda. We are thinking over and working over new mechanisms and tools that can be used in scope within this partnership. I would also like to add that the people of Armenia, we do have the European aspirations, and the European Union acknowledges these aspirations. So now jointly we think about and work over, as I said, new tools, new mechanisms of bringing the 2 countries, the European Union and member states from one side and Armenia from the other side, closer. I would like also to repeat the sentence that my Prime Minister said in his speech in the European Parliament. Armenia, from its side, Armenia is ready to become as closer to the European Union as the European Union would consider possible. Also jointly with the European Union, but also with the United States, we work over a plan aiming to increase the level of resilience of Republic of Armenia during these challenging times, and having in mind the threats and challenges that we have in Armenia and around Armenia in our region. So the processes are going on, and hopefully we will be seeing new programs, joint tools launched. Thank you.
As regards the humanitarian aid, the corridor, I will have to remind that the corridor pre-existed J-lots. We are now at the process where we are phasing out of J-lots, and there's always been planning in place about the medium-term option, which is ready to be activated. All the logistics and all the various elements have been put in place. And we had very detailed and comprehensive discussions with partner states about the next stage, and we are talking about different ways of methodology for, again, direct access. All this, of course, subject to developments, because as you can understand, the situation in the region in the last few hours is taking a very different turn, and that is something that can only affect any kind of planning as to how humanitarian aid goes into Gaza. I conclude by this. All the various methods of sending aid into Gaza have been facing difficulties, and this, of course, is not going to stop us from trying to contribute in something that we believe there is serious need and it's only going to get worse. Always subject to what's happening on the ground, of course. Thank you.
That's it.